Wolfpack, what is going on? It's your boy, the Wolf of Roto Street. RotoStreetJournal.com. We breed and feed you fantasy wolves here with the first Best Ball Mania draft live stream. Not the first draft, done plenty of those. This will be, I believe, my 59th Best Ball Mania draft. Probably my close to 400th total overall. So I am well in the weeds for best ball drafts. And don't worry, this isn't like, oh, I'm getting my feet wet and let's figure out where some value. No, I've done a ton of these. I just haven't been able to go live because, as many of you know, we had our first baby daughter, Josie, welcome to the world, March 21st. And so I've been doing a ton of drafts while she's passed out on me. So I've got that. It's just a little tough to live stream when you got the child on top of you, but things are going phenomenal. She is doing great. If you're live here and you want to jump in, it looks like there is 4 to 5 open spots as we are getting live here. Would love to have any viewers jump on in at Underdog. Of course, if you haven't already signed up, code RSJ would get you up to $1,000 in bonus credit. I always forget to say that. So, hey, we got it from the jump. But we are in the waiting room. We got 3 people left to join, and I am excited to just talk some general strategy. There's no real agenda. Next Thursday at 8 a.m., my man, me and Mo are going to reunite for the first time since Josie has arrived and do our first co-team. We had some solid, we made a couple. I think the furthest we got was the semis of Best Ball Mania. We do have some budget because of that, so we'll be doing plenty more of these drafts. I had one team last year that ultimately was a Josh Jacobs touchdown away. He got to the 1-yard line, got the ball, got stuffed, and then he got vultured by Chris Brooks. The team by 5 points did not advance to the Best Ball Mania finals. Oh, I could just taste it. So close. Had a very successful year overall, though, which was very nice. And I just kind of started getting the draft guide going, my macro thoughts on the market, the player takes, the micro takes as well is kind of how I'm organizing the guide this year. Should be live. I'm hoping for right before the 4th, banging it out. But I had a quick hour where I just wanted to get live, do some drafts, and start talking best ball. So if you're live with us, get some questions in. It's a great time to talk on my man, Nixon. He had a great year. Great to see. I believe it's Thaddeus, right? If I'm not mistaken, from last year. You were so great. And my man, Mo, we still talk about you all the time. One of the best fans we could possibly ask for. Mixon did end up panning out big. I was always on your side there, and he had a huge year. Now, I know down the stretch, he ultimately ended up fading. Looks like we are live, and we are going to be in the 2 spot. So ultimately, I will pull up the draft board. I'm going to share this tab instead, so it's a better view of the draft. And we'll be drafting from the 2-hole today. But if you are live with us, please do feel free to ask any questions. It's kind of an agendaless stream. Thad, the ball-knowing one. Love to see you, Thad. Great to see you're back. Me and Mo will be back together 8 a.m. on Thursday next week for our first co-team again. And again, we had some very solid teams ultimately, but none made the finals, unfortunately. Still waiting that big $2 million payday, but maybe this is the year. I'm feeling great about my takes. This will be interesting at 2 to see. I imagine Jamar Chase will go first overall. He should go first overall. As I'm diving into the research, certainly in best ball, I've always had Jamar Chase at the top. I thought it was kind of a tier where you could go Barkley or Chase, maybe even consider Bijan in redraft. And ultimately you look and you see, and he goes Bijan. So you know what? I'm not going to think twice. I'm going to take the gift of Jamar Chase at 2. Thank you, Mastro802. Wonderful. That's a no-brainer to me. You look at last year's best ball. It didn't last year. It's not going to predict what happens this year. Jamar Chase was on 50% of if you had Jamar Chase, you had a 50% chance of advancing. He had 50% playoff advance rate. Now, of course, getting to the finals is a whole different story, but that is the single highest advance rate, more than even Cooper Kupp 2 seasons ago. Or 3 seasons ago when he had like the triple crown, went absolutely bananas. Yeah, Jamar Chase actually lapped him and went even more, was more valuable in terms of advance rate. And you think a couple reasons why. One, even though he was a first rounder, almost all other first rounders just kind of sucked at wide receiver. It was the highest rate of injury at wide receiver. 50% of the top 30 wide receivers got hurt and missed significant time, at least 3 games last year, which is unheard of compared to almost no key injuries at running back. We almost never see it go that way. It's usually typically the reverse there. And so it became one of those things where the wide receiver avalanche last year. This is what I'm talking about kind of in the guide. Again, I'm in the early stages of it. I figured I'd just come live, talk, but of course your questions can get precedence as well. But what happened, everybody drafting wide receiver, I me included, you couldn't get behind at wide receiver. That was the one thing that could not happen. And so, you're starting to see like Zay Flowers going over Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson just because people wanted to stay afloat at wide receivers. And it turns out from last year, Hayden Winks, he does some of that great research in terms of what major optimal teams, how many wide receivers to have by what round, how many running backs to have by what round. It was actually optimal to have no more than one wide receiver through 7 rounds. And typically that was Jamar Chase. Now, if you had Amon-Ra St. Brown, for example, that would be he was solid enough at advanced rate around 20%. Jefferson was right around that rate too, but again, 50% for Jamar Chase because he was just so much better than everybody else. Well, everyone else either got hurt or underwhelmed. And then it was about, if you had Jamar Chase and then you went Barkley round 2, Derrick Henry round 3, Lamar round 4, like those teams were possible if we just tried to slip away from that wide receiver avalanche mindset. And you look at the market this year, you think, okay, well, now is it going to be, go backwards and we have the reverse and we see all these running backs going early? Not really. As you can see in this draft so far, we still are only 5 total running backs in round 1. That was right around what we were seeing last year. And then just wide receiver after wide receiver. And I think that's right. And I think people recognize it was an anomaly. Drafts just getting smarter and smarter and recognizing that was an anomaly year last year in terms of, 1, all the injuries to the position, and then 2, how healthy running backs were. And so people aren't just scrambling there. Oh, man, I thought Brock Bowers was about to get to me, and ultimately a Jamar Chase Brock Bowers pairing. Haven't pulled that off. He's falling so much lately, and I just do not understand why. You got that week 17 correlation here. Trey McBride. Now, I'll talk quickly about Trey McBride, why I hadn't been drafting a ton of them. Love won this matchup. The Bengals were bleeding points, 2 tight ends last year. I was thinking about maybe going Garrett Wilson. Now, do we go? Let's keep the Bengals thing going here with Chase Brown over Josh Jacobs, though. You know what? No, I got to stick with Jacobs here. And we have a nice balanced start here. Jacobs, Chase, Trey McBride. Not an uncommon start. I was hoping either Bowers. Yes, I know it's not the week 17 matchup there. But one reason I hadn't been, I was saying that, not fading Trey McBride and Bowers, but not taking them nearly as often, was George Kittle was coming to me in round 5 almost every single time. I ended up with 29% of him in the pre-draft best ball streets. The real psychos and sickos in those. And then I right now have 27% of him in the post-draft best ball contests. So he's definitely my highest owned tight end, George Kittle, so far. But he's starting to rightfully. I think he belongs right around Trey McBride. Brock Bowers was the number 1 tight end last year. They lose Debo. I mean, the splits between when Debo is in and out of the lineup, and now you got Ayuk likely gone for at least the first 5-6 games as well. And then you take him out of the lineup. Like Kittle splits. That's when he becomes the target hog. That's when he becomes the focal point of this offense. So I think George Kittle is the single most undervalued player in fantasy. And I had been foregoing Bowers and Trey McBride. In this case, I should have considered it with Garrett Wilson. I just saw that week 17 correlation and had to jump on it. But ultimately, I had been always getting Kittle, and now he's starting to creep into this mid-round 4, where, again, like I said, I think he could be going at the 2-3 turn. So even if you're getting him, I saw him go at like 37. Oh, so early. No, I think still anywhere now that you take George Kittle, I think is perfectly acceptable in round 4. And the talent really seems to drop off after Breece Hall. Love the Breece Hall pick right here. At that point, it's like, do I really need DJ Moore, or should I get a tight end that's going to put up the same, if not more points than him in the way that best ball is great? So just as like one of my sneak peeks of the guy, I think George Kittle's the best pick in best ball right now. Now, the fact that I already have Trey McBride, I don't think I'll actually go Kittle should he fall back to me. But that's why I have not been taking a ton of Bowers and McBride, not because I don't love them. I think they're phenomenal. they do have to smash when you take a round 2 tight end. You need like prime Travis Kelce averaging about 18. But yeah, there you go. You see Kittle going right there to A. Allen at the 41 spot. That's where he started to go more often. And so, when I'm at the top of the board here, I am now more willing to go to Trey McBride. Certainly Brock Bowers when he falls here. I mean, we're talking about a guy that just set the rookie receiving yard record for any position, not just tight end, any position. That guy, if he was a wide receiver, would be going where Puka's going right now. But he plays the position that's the hardest to find points at. I don't understand. Pat Crane, one of the best minds in best ball, has a phenomenal rant about Brock Bowers and how it's just asinine that he's even going in round 2. Never mind the fact that he's falling. We are up and on the clock. I love these 20-second clocks these days, by the way. I'm going to go Xavier Worthy, a little bit behind his ADP, about 5 picks of value. Don't love the 10-10 bye weeks with him and Jamar Chase, but, I'm going to be drafting 8 wide receivers anyways. I can get by with those two sharing it. And then when did Jalen Hurts go in this draft? Already going at 43. That was another one in round 5 where, like, whether I have Devonta or any of these guys. I think in this case, I have been sneaking in Travis Hunter. I wouldn't be shocked if he continues to fall, but if the Brian Thomas drafter forgoes Trevor Lawrence, I see him often come up to the 140s and so I do like getting my Travis Hunter. He might play D-back, so be it. This guy is a supreme talent. Love Liam Cohen. They just traded absolute bag to get up to 2 to get this guy. So I'm all about getting Travis Hunter. Right when the contest opened, for a while, we were getting Travis Hunter going 36, 38. And so I think this is about where he should be going. And I had not been dipping in. I want to kind of start building that bag back up because he's certainly the type of guy. You get to week 15, you advance a team, and he drops 37 points on a Liam Cohen team that just schemes. You saw what he did with Brian Thomas. Or rather what he's going to do with Brian Thomas, more so what he did with Godwin, what he did with Mike Evans, when those guys got hurt, what Cade Otton was doing. I really love Liam Cohen. I'm not a huge Trevor Lawrence, just like a truther in general, but if anyone, he's going to have 0 excuses should he not get this one done. It does look like we have a couple of questions. Sorry, Frazier, I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between the stream and the draft boards. So I'll cut my ramble off. The key summary again is George Kittle, the best pick in best ball as of right now. But we got Frazier asking, congrats on the baby girl. Thank you, sir. Little Josephine is the greatest thing in the world. I don't know if you have any of your own yet, Frazier. Man, it's life-changing and amazing as it can be. She slept 10 hours last night, by the way. Oh, maybe that's why I'm live today. I have a new look on life. She's been great with sleeping, though, lately. It has been beautiful. So Frazier saying, Wolf, my guy, congrats on the baby girl. Keeper league would take Jacobs 3rd round, Daniels 8th round, or Laporta 14th. You're certainly keeping Lat. I mean, that is a no-brainer. He's probably should go the highest of these guys. Maybe Jacobs should be going higher, but he's a 3rd round pick. You're not gaining a ton of value. He's typically seeing, certainly in best ball, you see right here, he goes to round 3. In terms of redraft, he's probably going mid-round 2. I would say I'm really starting to dive into the Yahoos, and that just makes me crack up some of these values I'm seeing in the Yahoo ADPs. I think it's got to be Daniels. You start yourself off phenomenally here in terms of you got a great wide receiver, your wide receiver 1 anchor, quarterback Jaden Daniels 8th round. I mean, that is beautiful. Maybe the guide helped you out there. He was our must-draft quarterback last year. I think you absolutely have to keep that. A true elite top 3 quarterback is just so awesome to have, especially when you're getting it at an 8th round price. Because if you keep someone in the 3rd, even though it is a keeper league, a 2-keeper league, the talent does start to water down by round 3, but you're still getting some really good talent. By round 8, you're not finding Jaden Daniels again. So I think you have to keep him. You start yourself off with some flexibility too, where quarterback's already locked up, so you can just be plucking running backs, wide receivers, for sure. So I love starting that way. I think this is a phenomenal value here on Jordan Addison. So I am going to queue him up. Chase, Worthy, Travis Hunter, and Addison, some really explosive big play wide receivers, fine in this format. Worthy might be a redraft headache, but when he blows up, he blows up. And you saw those last few games of the season. Absolutely insane numbers here. And so, through 5, we've gone, I'm going to have to make a pick in a second. We've gone 1 running back, 4 wide receivers, and a tight end in Trey McBride, got in the elite tight end tier. I do think it's important to get some running back value, and I do love Quinshon Judkins here. Whereas I was last year often going hero running back and pushing the second running back to round 8 and round 9, maybe even later. You get your ace like the early rounder. It's a half PPR format, and we saw that last year. How much more running backs ended up being in flexes, and how important the position was for last season. Every season's different, its own new snowflake. But I want to leave my first kind of what I'm writing about in the guide as we speak is by 9. I like to have a quarterback. I like to have a tight end. I don't want to go worse than Ingram at tight end. I don't really want to get worse than, I love Bo Nix. I'm okay pushing quarterback to 10 depending on what stacks I'm setting up. But I really love just having this is my starting lineup. Now I have that flexibility. They call it, I think in the community, they call it the rainbow start, where you have your blue, your green, your orange. It just you have everything started. I have my starting lineup. This is what I could roll out each and every week. And now it's about plucking the values, who falls, completing the stacks, right? You lay your clothesline of a starting lineup, and then you're pinning things on from there. That's how I'm really approaching it. Certainly at running back, I want by round 7, I want to have at least 2 guys. I'm not opposed to having, it used to be the golden rule, you have to have 4 wide receivers through 7. I'm looking at it as you have to have at least 2 wide receivers or at least 3 wide receivers and 2 backs. Oftentimes I'm doing 3 backs, 3 wide receivers, and mixing in a tight end at that point. It's all over the place. I want to be a lot more flexible and certainly a lot more into the running backs. I think last year everyone got a little bit too trigger happy on the wide receivers. We certainly did. It was the perfect storm of that also collapsing and receivers having the least healthy and worst production of all time. We're going to find a happy medium this year. And for me, the happy medium kind of bubbles up with complete your roster, get your starting lineup, and then go from there. And I still, am big into the week 17 correlation. Of course, everybody knows if you're playing best ball at this point, you know that. But yeah, I love that value on Addison. I have him ranked in my 50s. I know there could be a suspension. It is. Frazier saying, I have my daughters turn 2. Hey, congratulations. Best feeling in the world. Being a girl dad is the absolute best, Frazier. I am 110% with you. Everybody says, you don't get the legacy yet. You don't have somebody. No, actually, everybody, nobody actually he says that, but there's some connotation that guys want to have boys. And I'm sure it would be awesome to have a boy. But man, I couldn't be more in love. She is the absolute best. So congrats to you, 2 years old. There you go. If you have any tips for a new guy like me to the streets, let me know. But it's been amazing. I got good time off from work. So we've really been able to, I got 12 weeks, which is incredible. And those 12 weeks ended up going right into summer break as a teacher. So I've been I don't even know what life is anymore. I love this question there, Thaddeus. So we'll get to that one in a sec, but we got to make our pick here. And it should probably be you stack up Kyler. I'll probably do that. I don't love Kyler though this year. He does say he's going to run around more. Him and McBride, the touchdown numbers end up kind of flipping for them. And I do know this guy went Marv, so there's probably unlikely that he would make it back to me. But I do have Bo Nix higher, Fields higher. That's why I do like going Garrett Wilson. I kind of wish I had gone him. And at this point, why not? I know bye week's not great, but Jalen Warren correlates there. It's the worst probably week 17 matchup you got on the board in terms of Steelers versus Browns, but I like both those run games. And everybody leaping on Caleb Johnson as they deservedly should. I think he is the mold of a bell cow. But they've already talked about how we trust Warren. We're going to put a lot more on his plate this year. One of the most efficient backs year in and year out. Huge fan of Jalen Warren. And I don't think they're just going to hand the keys over to Caleb Johnson from the jump. And certainly one of the biggest things, I heard this take, Evan Silva, who said this one. I forget exactly who it was. They mentioned the idea of Jalen Warren being one of the best pass protecting backs in the league. You have Aaron Rodgers. If Caleb Johnson, who's good at pass protection, they've already praised him in camp. So I'm not saying he's a bad pass protector and that's going to keep him off the field. He's solid. He's a big, sturdy dude that can stick the linebacker. But Jalen Warren is known as, because of that low center gravity, one of the best pass protectors in the league. If Caleb Johnson misses one blitz pickup and Rodgers gets lit up, Rodgers is going to say, I don't want anyone else but Warren on this field. So I think he's getting a little undervalued here. And just in general, the pass catching back for Aaron Rodgers has always been gold. So I am a fan of Warren. I love this start here. So we've gone Kyler Murray at quarterback to stack up Trey McBride. And then we've gone Josh Jacobs, Quinshon Judkins, and Jalen Warren in the backfield. Wide receivers are Jamar Chase, fell to 2, blessing. And then we got Xavier Worthy falling 4 spots, Travis Hunter, and Jordan Addison falling 8 spots there. Love the value we were able to scoop in that one. So we've gone 1, 3, 4, and 1 through this. We have a starting lineup. We already had the starting lineup, but now we have Addison and Warren vying for the flex spot week in and week out, which I love. Gives it a little time for Travis Hunter to potentially develop should he need it. So I'm a big fan of that. Let's see. Thad saying if Rice goes in the second, why not Bowers too? Hell, why not everybody in the 10th jump to the second? So Rice shouldn't be going in the 10th by any means. I think he's perfectly fine in the second where he goes in a wide receiver heavy format as best ball, especially in this market. But ultimately, I'm with you. I don't know why Bowers shouldn't be going at the beginning of the second, if not even the late first. Yes, again, the main argument is for him to be worth it there, he has to have a prime Travis Kelce season. We just saw the best rookie season. This was one of the best tight end prospects to ever come out. So I think he's going to. I love this value on Burden, so I'm just going to go and scoop that. Couple rookie receivers here in Travis Hunter and Luther Burden. We know often that burgeoning late season value is where that will come into play. And now I got to see, okay, what other stacks could I consider completing here? Mahomes is long gone. Obviously, Burrow's not there. So I can wait this one out and see if either McCarthy or Lawrence make it back. So I still got to make a pick here, though. I am a very big fan of Bashal Tutin, continuing on with the Jags theme there. One of my highest owned players, Bashal Tutin, crazy speed. Liam Cohen, we saw how valuable that Bucks backfield was last year, whether it was White, whether it was, of course, by the end of the season, Bucky Irving. So I absolutely love that. I think Bashal Tutin, might take a little while, but Travis Etienne, I've never been an Etienne guy. That's very rarely hurt me. Back to your question, though, if Rice goes in the second. So I have nothing, Thaddeus. I don't know if you don't like Rice, but why is he going in the second? You saw the beginning of last season. This guy, by week 3, he was number 8 on my overall big board. Not just wide receiver 8, number 8 overall. Hammered with targets. I think it was double-digit targets in 3 straight games, 3 straight top 24 weeks, including a top 8 week. The guy was just the Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Chiefs. And I know the Chiefs ultimately disappointed, but I think a huge part of that was losing Rashee Rice. He was kind of the engine of this offense. He was what Kelce was that. So you're saying Rice is overrated? I don't get that because you saw it. I mean, did we not watch the first 3 games? He was getting absolutely peppered. He was the engine to this team. Even if Hollywood stays healthy, okay, fine, stretch the field a little bit, make this offense a little bit more explosive, create a situation where he can score some more touchdowns. I certainly do not see Hollywood being healthy as something that would be negative for Rice. I get the idea that, if Worthy's healthy, if Hollywood's healthy, Kelsey's still there, how many balls are there to go around? I think the first read if we look at those first read statistics in the first 3 weeks, it was Rice. He is the engine. He's going to be the most consistent. A little bit overrated in the second, maybe, but I don't agree. I'm happy to take him in round 2 to the tail end. I wouldn't take him over Bowers. Now, if that's the argument, I'm with you 100%. I do not think Rice is overrated. I love this guy for sure. Love this advice. Only advice for me is to call her beautiful. So that's the first thing I say to her every morning. Call her beautiful every day. So if any boy compliments her, they'll need to try so much harder to impress her because she's heard it all her life from her main man. I love that, Frazier. Great tip. I will certainly be using that one. Phenomenal stuff there. All righty. So we are now on the clock. We got 4. I love wide receiver, but these ones are just all trash. Do we go tight end? That doesn't really do much for us. I'm just going to check off Josh Palmer. Got good money there from the Bills. and I needed a wide receiver. I don't really like Jack Besh playing behind uh, what's his name? Deontay Thornton, I believe it is. I like Xavier Leggett. I don't mind him there. I should be starting to. I have not been very intentional about the Week 17 correlation. Obviously, I did it early with Chase and McBride, but I should be looking into more opportunities for that. I don't hate going Goddard and just kind of closing the tight end door, but this is a good value on Worthy, and I have a couple rookies, or rather White, so I'm going to go White here. One of my favorite picks must have gone. Let me see. Jadon Blue. Yeah, he already went. That's kind of where I was a little tongue-tied because I'm used to him falling to this like 143 area. But Chop is that guy, pal. Ended up scooping him ahead of me. But I don't mind Palmer. I don't mind White. You can see how fast it dries up at wide receiver, which is why a guy like Rice is not all that bad in round 2. This early at 16 over Henry, Achan, A.J. Brown, Taylor, over really any of these guys, I think is too much. Maybe McBride. Like, had he been there right here, I probably would have considered him. But yeah, going at 16, I think is a bit rich. Even though, again, like I said, he was number 7 or 8 on my big board at the time of his injury last year. So it's not completely out of the question. I was really hoping Trevor Lawrence would make it back to me after the Brian Thomas drafter forewent him, but you had to go naked to he's a guy you can backstack, so I guess I understand it. Quarterbacks have flown, so my stacking options are getting quite limited. Let's see what is out there. So week 8 bye for Murray. So I think got Stafford week 8, Gino week 8. I'll probably be looking to backstack Cam Ward. I mean, maybe Penix makes it back, and I don't even know who Penix and Pitts, perhaps. He's probably going to go, and he goes, as I mentioned him. So this is going to be interesting. I probably, already kind of thinking like, man, where was there a missed opportunity? So I went Burden. Maybe here where I took Tootin, I could have gone. That's an early time for J.J. McCarthy, though. Early for Trevor Lawrence. I really think Lawrence making it to me would have changed quite a lot with this squad. So we'll be scrambling at quarterback. I'll probably add like Alec Pierce to get some Week 17 Jags, Colts action, and then maybe sneak Daniel Jones in. There goes Penix and Cam Ward. We are quickly drying up in terms of quarterback options. And at this point, it's like, okay, Darnold, Gino, and Stafford all have the Week 8 bye. I think my best shot at backstacking would probably be Stafford. You got Tutu, you got Terrence Ferguson. That creates an issue with that. But how many quarterbacks does so he's already got his 2, but he could still sneak in a third. So I'm just going to go Stafford. And then he's probably going to go Thielen. But if he doesn't, I actually too sneaky still like Adam Thielen here. I like this might be a good range to scoop a tight end too. So that way, if I do have to go Ferguson to stack up with Stafford, I'll go with I love Hunter Henry. I think he's a great value. I think Zach Ertz is a great value as well. I do think Thielen's a nice value, but I feel okay about tight end at this point, or a receiver rather. I'm going to definitely go for Tutu Atwell to stack up with Stafford. And so I don't feel the need to force it. Did Alec Pierce already go? He must have, because that's another one that I often look there. Let me see. I'll scroll back down. Yeah, Alec Pierce. Oh, he went right after Henry. So probably should have gone Alec Pierce and created a stacking partner for Daniel Jones, but we might just go him anyways. All righty. And then second bit of advice, actually get fucking jacked. Yeah, I sure need to. I've had a tough time getting up to the gym. The morning cuddles are like the best of the day, so leaving first thing in the morning has been very, very tough. Rice won't be the first read over Hollywood. Come on. Thaddeus, I loved your mix and take last year. I was with you there. You can't be telling me you think Hollywood Brown, who can never stay healthy, who even when he's been healthy has not really done all that much. You can't tell me you actually believe Hollywood is better than Rice. I love your takes typically. I love that you're bold and going for this one. That is a terrible take. I love you, Thad. I hope you keep coming back. I do think you know ball for the most part. I cannot confidently say that is a ball knowing take right there. That's a tough one. All righty. And so let's just kind of recap it as it gets back to us. We've got Kyler Murray and Matthew Stafford bye week blues at quarterback, both week 8. So hopefully you can add a Daniel Jones, something of that nature. At running back, we got Jacobs, Judkins, Warren, Tootin, and White. Solid backfield. Do not feel the need to add a 6th back. If that's, I want to create a situation where I'll take my 7th wide receiver. I'll take my quarterback 3. So probably going to go Jones and Tutu. And then if the best player there at the end of the draft is a back, so be it. If it is a wide receiver, so be it. We'll kind of remain flexible in that sense. I don't hate Miles Sanders, though. I want to get a Dallas back on every team. It's typically Jadon Blue, but what I do miss on him, I've taken Jadon Blue in about half of drafts. When I do miss on him, I like to get Miles Sanders. All right, let's see here. Daniel Jones does go. Oof, this is rough. Well, let me go 2-2. Atwell. I got to at least lock in. And I know that's a little bit of a reach there, but got to lock that in and then kind of figure it out. Maybe we're not going 2 quarterbacks and we're just hoping that the bye week blues don't hit too hard. All right, we'll go Miles Sanders, get our Cowboys back. So we've got 2-6-7-2, wide open, whatever, with what we want to do with the last pick. I mean, maybe you go Tyler Show, but what if it's Rattler? Is that adding a ton to your team? It might just be eat the bye week and hope for the best. I'm going to just quickly look up, so my options are Show, Russell Wilson, Shador, Milroe, Flacco. I wouldn't hate, if you told me Flacco was definitely starting in week 8, I'd probably just go him, Flacco. So Browns, week 8. But I think it's the Pats, not the best matchup. Giants, week 8. Yeah, I don't think Jackson Dart's going to go until they're post-bye. Eagles, they're going to need points there. Saints, week 8. The Bucks, maybe that is the best. You just hope Show and Kellen Moore. We'll see. I'm not opposed to just adding a wide receiver, eating the bye week, and just struggling in that sense. But yeah, maybe it does save us 11 points to 20 points, and suddenly that's what you needed to advance. That could totally be the case. So I'd be okay eating that. All right, what do we got here? Wolf, you're the GOAT. Hope so. Also, well, my guy Giuseppe, thank you so much. How old's your little one these days, Giuseppe? I know it was still one of the most iconic call-ins was the delivery room call-in of, what was that, 2-3 years ago? Still one of my favorites of all time, Giuseppe Russo. If you guys are out there, before I get to the rest of the comments, and you enjoy what you're hearing, please do consider that thumbs up button. It does help us get out to more people, means the world to us. I hope all is well, though, with you, Giuseppe, with your kiddo. Remind me, I think it's got to be at least 2 years now. Baby Josie is doing amazing. I already got some great advice here from my man Frazier, and open to any more new dad advice that you guys might have for me. Live like Larry 00. Thanks for tuning in. Here's a hot take. Mooney over Worthy. Very hot. Very hot indeed. Mooney was awesome. I think we saw the ceiling last year, and I also see with very little additions, very hard to see why couldn't he hit that again. Maybe it's a tad higher because Penix can sling it better than Kirk Cousins on one knee at this point. Yeah, I could see all those arguments. But over Worthy, I'll dive into that in a sec. We're going to have to pick here. I think I am just going to go Shao and just, hope that he's the clear quarterback one in week 8. And against the Bucks, they're chasing points. It's a bad defense, and he throws up 19 points, and that's what moves me on. You know what I mean? Don't love it. He's unstacked. It really does very little besides fill a bye week. And you don't want to, you got to kind of just do better than that. This is not my best draft by any means. We'll quickly review it. I think I kind of want to toss in one more to make up for. It's not a horrible team. This is not the one that's going to be winning it all by any means, though. And then this draft gets wrapped up. I don't even know who the last pick was, but let's dive into that hot take in a second while we wait for the next draft. 2.5 years, Giuseppe. That is absolutely nuts. Wow. I'm going to go back to, so if you want to draft with me, I'll do one more here live entering the BBM here. We will enter that, confirm. 3 people. So we got 3 open spots. If you're live and you want to draft with us, let me know if you're in the same draft as me. Would love to have you. But while we wait, let's quickly review what we did. First pick, Jamar Chase, number 2. You love to see that. That does very rarely happen. Love to get a Chase team. Unfortunately, I think I fumbled this one a little bit. I got the Trey McBride correlation. I do wish I had gone Garrett Wilson here. I typically do go Garrett Wilson right here. I think he's going to get absolutely peppered. It creates a nice new stack where I like to take my quarterbacks. And then going Trey McBride here, I still probably would have gone Worthy on a value, and this kind of gives us a good chance to draft is starting already. And I got the first pick, so it looks like you guys are going to see the Influencer 101, baby. You guys will get that. So I'm going to take Chase in a minute when that one starts, but let's quickly review it. We'll have 20 picks after that. So we'll keep reviewing this team, and then we'll be able to bring in that draft and see how that's unfolding. So hopefully I can do a better Chase team. Have I learned from my mistakes in this one? We'll find out. It starts in 26 seconds. Worthy over Mooney, or Mooney over Worthy, rather, the bold prediction from Live Larry. Could it happen? Absolutely. In terms of Mooney's a clearer cut number 2, but I just think the ceiling for Worthy is so drastically higher than what Mooney could ever do. You're in the Chiefs offense that they keep preaching they want to go and get vertical more. We saw that those last few weeks. I don't have his game logs pulled up, but he obviously had the 30 whatever pointer in the Super Bowl. He catches that live bomb at the end of the game. But even in the whole playoffs, you're starting to see like more dink and designed, and kind of just like, why haven't we been doing this all year? So I just think he plays in an Andy Reid offense that wants to regain that explosiveness. He's the perfect type of Tyreek Hill mold. Is he Tyreek Hill? No, of course not. I get that. He's not as strong, tough, all that. The dude can break away from anybody, and Mahomes missed him on quite a few deep throws. So they could regain that chemistry, get the deep ball going again. I think Worthy is phenomenal in best ball. I think he's going to still be frustrating in redraft. I don't necessarily advocate for him there. Same with Travis Hunter. I think he could be a little bit boom bust. He might have some games he's playing more D than he is O, but he's going to be one of the highest target per route run guys. He's so explosive with the ball in his hands. You don't go and trade what they traded without clearly valuing him and wanting to have a huge role. And then Jordan Addison through the 4th round that late, I love it. Even if he is going to get suspended for a couple games, my wide receiver 4, no problem. Be on the field for my most important weeks, and that's great. Love Quinshon Judkins. I think where it started to come apart was if I could go back, Kyler Murray here. I should have considered maybe going a quarterback here. I love Bo Nix. You can backstack him for sure. Now, Ingram went, and that was kind of where I was like, there's no shot Ingram gets back to me. I can get Marvin Mims, and you got Pat Bryant. I love Bo Nix. And I don't even love Kyler Murray. I think that was kind of the fantasy gods being like, we're punishing you for going for Kyler over Bo, who you prefer Bo. And I had to stack. I get it. It made more sense to go that route. But ultimately, I like the Warren pick. It correlated with Quinshon Judkins. We talked about the pass protection. I still think everything's okay here. I think Burns a very exciting rookie, one of the best yak receivers in this class, in a scheme that schemes it up. I love Bashal Tootin' his speed, but I think one of those two, locking up my quarterback too. I think I could have probably gone for Jordan Love. I only have the running back, Josh Jacobs, but they throw to the running back plenty. You're making a bet on the offense at that point. I really do like the passing game there for Green Bay to really pick up. And then you got Rashad White, fine value at that point. Stafford, it's just I like Stafford, the bye week blues there. Hunter Henry, yeah, I would have waited out for Ferguson and stacked Stafford even further, but same bye week as McBride. Don't need bye week blues at both positions. Zeros at both. And that's why, again, Tyler Shough just kind of tossing. It's really not a bad team. I don't hate this team by any means. I just don't love it. And I want my first Best Ball Mania stream of the year to be one I love. So I am going to open this up now. You guys can kind of see, and we'll recap how this draft is going. Alrighty. And so we are back on the clock. I don't love stacking up Higgins and Chase. I am going to go with Garrett Wilson, like I talked about. And, I mean, do I do Marv? I think Tyreek, it's a great Week 17 game to stack. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to go with Tyreek here. And just go, bam, 3 wide receivers from the jump. I understand double stacking the Bengals totally. Last year it ended up being you had somebody blowing up no matter what. It's historically last year it worked out. I don't know that it does. The one thing I do love about it is you can then push Burrow, and most often he is going to get back to you at 72. I was looking actually for Chase Brown. That's where he ended up going at 22. So maybe we're making a podcast, maybe we're not, but just to kind of we've just pulled in this stream. We have, all right. Oh, so live like Larry. Let's hear your take. Worthy has the 4.2 speed, but Casey has a good defense. Probably won't have to throw much. They did lose a fair amount of pieces this year. I'm a UW Husky fan. I've seen Penix's arm, and all right, I love it. So live like Larry, tell me, what the hell was Jalen Polk's season all about last year as a Pats fan? I was so hyped to get him. Not even that hyped. I was just hyped to get a receiver, and they just do not know how to draft. I love Penix's arm talent, though. I think he's going very underdrafted at 150. Love Drake May. I think Drake May has like that outside shot at true wide receiver one, like the wide receiver one. Upside, he had that 30-point game to close the year. Like I think he had 18 targets in that one. I know Mooney might have been out for it. But ultimately, yeah, I'm with you. I see the speed. I think the arm's live. I think Mooney is, a great pick at the 90 range or so where he goes. I just can't see him. Worthy has just such a high. We finally started to see it break out towards the end of the year, and now I just see that ascension continuing. I'm not a diehard Worthy guy, but when I can get him 5 picks, I'm only going to get him when he is going 5 or so picks behind value. You make a case, but I'd be stunned if by the end of the year we're saying Mooney was more valuable than Worthy. But I like Mooney, I really do. So not bad. Thad, we got Hollywood is better. He received the worst target accuracy from Kyler Murray in 2023. Meanwhile, Rice is the only one worth throwing to beside Kelsey on the Chiefs. They had Worthy, so I do not buy that. Who became one of the dominant guys from the stretch. Hollywood gets open all over the field. Direct quote from Mahomes last preseason. Point out for a reason. Again, I don't mind Hollywood. I like drafting him at 150 or so, but to think he's going to be better than Rice, who was the engine, the Amon-Ra St. Brown, I will move the chains every single time. I will consistently get open for you. Hollywood's not going to be that. Not even close. Hollywood and Worthy seem to overlap a bit more, if anything. And Hollywood's going to get hurt. He always gets hurt. Thad, you know this. You know ball. He's going to get hurt. And there goes, I don't know what this guy is doing here. Interesting strategy from Gator Heel. Bowers, McBride, and Kittle. No one else is getting an elite tight end, apparently. Interesting move here. Unfortunate, because I was hoping he might not have made it back to me anyways. I would have loved to start 3 wide receivers and then gone Kittle. We won't be doing that, unfortunately. I didn't want to do another Chase Jacobs and just kind of create the same team, though. Diversify. Was the Jacquard trees that would create turned it? If Chase is again that 50% advance rate, let's get different teams around him. I like Tyreek Hill's a fascinating talking point. I'd love to know what you guys think about him. We have to make our picks. So I think for me, I'm gonna go Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith, and now I've got a phenomenal wide receiver room. I've got my first stack. Um, the one thing that is Garrett Wilson and Devonta have the same bye weeks, and so I love stacking Fields and Garrett Wilson. I think those two, whatever happens with the air is going to be through Garrett Wilson and Brees Hall. So now that makes that stack. You got to go for a third quarterback. I don't want to do the same bye week dance I did last time. But I already had Travis Hunter and Chase. Want to diversify again what I do with my Chase shares. We will be loading up on running backs. I do hope, I wouldn't hate having Judkins here. Again, like I did last time, like a Judkins Montgomery fall. Love Kenneth Walker in that zone blocking scheme. He was somebody that crossed the mind for sure. Worthy was not there in 2020. He was a rookie last year. I don't think drafting Rice is drafting scared, bud. I love Rice. Where did Rice end up going in this one? Was he? I know 16 was very, very early last time. So yeah, 23. My ideal start would have been Chase, Wilson, Rice. What do you guys think? What do you think too? And anybody else watched about Tyreek this year? I love if he's my wide receiver 3, because at that point, even if he just does what he did last year, yeah, sure, as a third rounder, that's not what you want from your third rounder, but it's not top 4 overall. And he was injured last year. The whole offense sucked. I know the line still blows, and a lot of the downfall was they have to get the ball out so fast, and so they can't have these long developing plays to Tyreek Hill. But it would not surprise me at all, like if one of the stories we look back, this is actually another one of those articles I'm putting in the guide. I'll call it the questions and narratives that will define the 2025 fantasy season. And I think one of the biggest questions are, can the Dolphins return to – they were fantasy darlings for multiple seasons. McDaniels was the great next coordinator. Last year was scary. Tua was injury. The line sucked. It was all brutal. And a lot of those things are in place again this year, where the line is still going to – it doesn't look great on paper. Tua could be getting hit, one concussion away from maybe being done. It worries me. But if they do bounce back, round 3 Tyreek is going to look absurd. Round 6 Jalen Waddle will look crazy. So I love having it as my 3, because then it's like if he's your 1, let's say I've had some teams where I've gone, Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, and then Tyreek's my 1. Now, if he hits in round 3 and he's my 1, he's going to be beautiful. But if not, I'm really swimming upstream wide receiver. But if he's my wide receiver 3, okay, he can be somewhere between that stud 2 years ago and last year's flop and still be a worthwhile wide receiver 3. And then Devonta Smith at your wide receiver 4 gives you a little cushion there too. Like I said, though, I really do value running back a whole lot higher than I had been last year. And so based on my staples, what I was talking about, like loving to have a starting lineup, my next 2 picks are probably going to be backs, depending on who is there. There's a couple I definitely would prefer. And if not, Sam Laporta is still sitting there. I think I know who I am looking after, though. We shall see if I get both of them. Montgomery goes. He was one that I definitely was hoping to take. We'll get Judkins, though. Fan of that. And now do I tack on Laporta? I really like Swift. And I've never been in on Swift. This is the first year I'm drafting Swift. But Ben Johnson offense for 3 straight seasons, the most expected backfield points, the most total backfield points. Yes, you have an elite offensive line. Yes, you have Jahmyr Gibbs as a number 1 and Montgomery as a 2, maybe definitely the best 1-2 duo in the entire NFL. They deserve to be used and produce the highest levels, but the way they beefed up the line, the way that this is going to be a staple of his offense, how creatively he uses them in the pass game, and the fact that they have previous history, and sounds like Johnson is all in on Swift. And the comments have been great. The actions have been even more important. They didn't draft anybody other than Kyle Monungai. They didn't bring in, Dobbins has been sitting out there for weeks, and they didn't bring him in. Nick Chubb was out there forever. even Cam, like they could have made a move and they didn't. And some reports were that that's because they love this Kyle Monangai kid. Whatever. It's Kyle Monangai, 7th rounder from rookie. One of my favorite sleepers, sure. I think Swift could go down as like one of the league winners of the year. So could Judkins. Like when I'm drafting, I'm trying to think of the guys that, okay, it's 2026 drafts. And Quinshon Judkins is going around too because Joe Flacco was the quarterback all year. We saw a stable Browns offense. Their line is still top 10. They are, I think, in minimum top half of the league. They've already talked about getting back to Stefanski's zone blocking routes. They had, what's his name? Freaking the pass happy dude from the Bills. They fired him. What was his name? That's going to bug me. The Bills offensive coordinator, Ariel, he just chopped. Either way, they ran a ton of plays, which was cool, but throwing the lights out of the ball when your quarterback is Deshaun Watson, then Jameis Winston, which was beautiful. Regardless, let's say we have a stable offensive environment that's returning to the run. Stefanski's always had a great run scheme. I think Judkins is going to be an absolute monster that we were talking about as a round 2 pick next year. DeAndre Swift probably not getting to that round 2 conversation next year because I'm sure they're going to add the backfield. But could he produce like a round 2 pick this year if he really is Ben Johnson's featured back? He played all the games last year for the first time in his career. Yeah, especially in this range, would I prefer Montgomery? Yes, but Swift has the higher ceiling too. And you look at the guys go after him, like maybe Pacheco ends up outdoing him, but it starts to get thin at running back. And so just to recap what we've got and see if Thad and anybody else is still coming. We got Jalen Hurts at quarterback, Quinshon Judkins, DeAndre Swift at running back, Chase, Wilson, Hill, and Devonta Smith. Quite the receiver room. Absolutely in love with that. This team is coming together at a very nice rate. And so now we will see who ends up falling to us as we are 5 picks away. But my man Thad is going off, which I love to see. We got almost 200 of you here. If you enjoy what you're hearing, that thumbs up button on YouTube, on Facebook does help us get out to more people. So greatly appreciate it. I am, like I said, hammering away at the guide. I only get like a handful of hours a day because we have the baby girl, and it's our first summer together. I want to spend as much time as I can. So typically 8 to 12 is going to be my time off. Right now, I'm using that time mostly to write the draft guide. I want that out close to the 4th as possible. Certainly by a family trip to Maine, the 11th of July is like that's my personal, like, it's got to be up. Let's do it. Deadline. Once that's out, I'm going to try to get into a groove with the truth of streaming every other day type of situation and pump the guide, the content in there, some great shows. So we will dive into that as well. All right, we are going to pick, and then Thad, I will see what you have been going off about in the chat. It's too bad that Baker, something I've been exploring, Baker and Hurts have the same bye week, so I'm not going to do that in this draft, whether he makes it to me or not. But all right, let's make our pick. Baker he's more backstackable than I think he is given credit for. Now, do I go Kelsey, Mason? I'm going to star Kelsey. Like I said, I love Bo Nix. I don't think I have a Bo Nix and Jalen Hurts team. So I'm going to go Nix. Ingram 107 probably doesn't make it back, but I have seen it happen when Nix is off the board. Etienne. Kelsey's a game stack too. So why don't I get a tight end here? And now I've correlated Nix and Kelsey. Just don't love, like I said, I love Tootin, so I didn't want the running back, Travis Etienne there. Mason I like, but he's the running back too. And they talk about him as a bruiser at the goal line, maybe. I can get profiles like that later. So I'd rather get a tight end, hope that Ingram makes it back to me. Now I've got Kelsey, Ingram. I don't have to think about tight end again. Like I said, most drafts would have gone Justin Fields, who we see goes there at 100. But by week 9, I don't want to have to draft another quarterback. If a third one falls and I like it, sweet. I like 3 quarterback builds in that sense. But I would have been forced to another Tyler Shuck situation. No thanks. I had him bail me out once today. Don't need it again. And so I go Nix and Kelsey there, a little correlation. And then I hope Ingram makes his way back to me. But with Andrews going this early, I think that is unlikely. For the Hollywood's injury, so in terms of not drafting scared, That's fine. Don't worry about his injury history. That's up to you. I do worry about it. I don't mind his pricing at 140. I think it's a great bet. I do not think this is a guy that's going to, whether he stays healthy all year or not, impact Rice being the clear-cut target hog volume. What goes up must come down. I like. All right, sweet. So Thad, we're on the same butt there. I do think they hit the rock bottom. The line still worries me though. I can't say confidently that they're going to have the line, but maybe they do. Instead of all those looks going to John Smith, maybe they trade John Smith, and then Tyreek's really going up to the moon. And maybe they design a little more quick hits for him like they used to, right? Swift had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage on a slow offense, started off slow. Yeah, the hates from people who don't know ball. There's no reason to hate him in a Ben Johnson offense. I don't even like Caleb Williams. If Ben Johnson's best shot to actually make a career, sure. If he does, awesome. I'm not banking on that happening, but I still think the running game will be a quality one. So I like that. Few guys that go, I like Trey Harris a lot. I think he's going to take a little bit to develop in terms of Quentin Johnson will probably start the year out of him, but by the midseason, I love stacking Chargers. I think it's a great offense to be going on. So Trey Harris was a pick I wanted to highlight there. Some other running backs that crossed my mind were Scatabo and Tracy. I'd like getting a Giants running back. It looks like Tracy's still falling, so hey, maybe he makes his way back to me. I love Dobbins, but not at 110. That's a little early. There's just one strategy you're hearing a lot more analysts talk about is drafting back to front. And I just think there is so much running back value right now that doesn't mean I don't want my two like clear cut. These are my guys. Judkins, DeAndre Swift, late running backs, but I'm okay with those guys being my guys. I want those two, like, yes, they're starting the year. They're great, but then I can backfill with so many good rookies that by midseason, I think are going to be dominating. That's kind of one of my narratives I was hinting to in the guide, questions and narratives that will define the season. I think 2025 will be the year of the rookie running back, both from an early season perspective, guys like RJ Harvey, Trevion Henderson, of course, Ashton Genty, right? Like, this class is known as elite. Last year, which I labeled it as year of the rookie receiver, this is going to be the year of the rookie running back. And it is often the Amon-Ra as a rookie. Like, it's rookie receivers that catch fire late and then go crazy and supercharge lineups right when you need them the most in the playoffs. That's how you win all the money. I think this year it's going to be more so the running backs that do that. The Jadon Blues, the Bashal Tutins, these guys are the ones that I'm really buying into as the guys. All right, we are going to be up in a pick. So we've got 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, a 4 receiver, and tight end build so far. I'm going to keep scooping up Luther Burden if he's going to keep making his way down. And I am going to – that was a little knee-jerky because I do want to stack up Bo Nix. I have to get somebody with him. So I am going to go Mims, but, man, I really want to go Tootin. I'm going to go Mims, though. Preserve the stack. Do love me some Bashal Tootin. But I have a lot. I'm at like 40% Tootin, so it doesn't kill me to go a different direction. And now my wide receivers, I got 6 wide receivers. I'm not going to talk about that position till the last round. I might even be done. I could potentially be done at wide receivers. I couldn't take Nix and not stack him. Again, I was really hoping to get Ingram. I even have Ingram higher than Kelsey. I probably should have just pulled the trigger on Ingram, left myself with that flexibility to just soup Tootin, who I like, and not have to force a Marvin Mims stack. But we shall see. Running backs are going to be sketch, but I'm certainly going to have 6, if not 7 of them, and hope those do what they need to for me. All righty. So recapping what we've got so far. Round 1, we go Chase, getting Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, the 3 wide receivers start. I know last year this was one of the least optimal ways to start. I think it swings back. Then we stacked up Hurts and Devonta Smith at the round 4-5. Considered going Burrow. Obviously, Burrow Chase is phenomenal to have, but I think Jalen Hurts in round 4 is an absolute steal. I was hoping for Hampton, considered Ken Walker there as well, but this seemed like the best way to go. I think in hindsight, maybe I'm going Jacobs here instead of Tyreek Hill, and now you have a true Jacobs, Judkins, Swift, and maybe Swift becomes Jaden Reed there instead, because you don't feel the need to get 2 running backs. That could have been better. Like I said, I don't mind Bo Nix here. I'm not in love with Bo Nix there either. I think I should have gone Bo Nix Ingram and just stacked it up because that opens up a lot of doors. I think Ingram and Kelsey are very similarly ranked in my eyes. So I think that might have been something I could have done different is Ingram here. Would have been a little bit of an ADP reach, but it stacks up my guy. That means I don't feel forced into Marvin Mims, which means I go Bashal Tutin, who I love. And I don't feel the pressure to stack it because I got to have somebody stack with Nix other than Pat Bryant in the last round. And I didn't want to pass up on Luther Burden, who I still think is one of the better values with DeAndre Swift. I think I'm going to make sure to queue up Jordan James. I'm not betting big. One of the bigger questions is like, what do you do with Christian McCaffrey this year? Playing it scared. Dad says you don't play scared. All right. So you must be getting a lot of Christian McCaffrey because if he's healthy, he's the number one player in fantasy. I don't even know if I'm scared or pissed, but I don't trust McCaffrey ever again, in my opinion. I'll definitely have a few because he's definitely the type of guy that can bury you. If he stays healthy all 17 games, he's probably the best player in fantasy. I can't not have some of that. There goes Goddard. I was hoping he would make it back to me. He does not. Alrighty. So we do need our tight end too. Would have been very nice to have Goddard there. The top tight ends right now. I don't feel there's the great tight end window late where you have Hunter Henry, Zach Ertz, Brenton Strange, all guys I am okay with at tight end. K-Dot and even, plenty of routes available late. We will be up next. Now that we get Trevor Lawrence falling, I do kind of wish I had gone Travis Hunter, but I do need some sure things at running back. So I'm going to get a chaperone in Rachaad White, and then I'm going to go one of my favorite picks of the year in Jadon Blue. And just like that, my running back room has 4 bodies, and I feel good about White in terms of just sheer going to get some catches, going to get some touchdowns, good offense. Plus, you got the contingent upside if anything does happen to Bucky. And now I can take a real shot on Jadon Blue. So that shaped out really nice for me. I'm liking this team. This team is coming together much more how I like to build my teams compared to the last squad. So to recap it, we got Jalen Hurts, Bo Nix, Quinshon Judkins, DeAndre Swift, Rachaad White, and Jadon Blue at running back. Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, Devonta Smith, Luther Burden, and Marvin Mims, a just nasty wide receiver room. And then Travis Kelce, who believe what you want, thinner, faster, more than ever. I don't know if I buy any of that. But it gave me some correlation with Bo Nix. I think my only switch up so far, like I mentioned, was maybe Ingram over Kelce. Because then I probably have Bashal Tutin, and I still might have gone these 3 running backs in a row and had 5 backs, 5 receivers. Still leaving the door open, though, for Brashad Smith, some of my favorite sleeper running backs as well. All righty. So, yeah, in terms of the guide and what I was writing about, year of the rookie running back, I think is one of the narratives of this season. And then there's a lot of are the Broncos going to be, is Bo Nix the next Drew Brees? And Sean Payton's offense is just flying down the field, and the running game is clicking. Number 2, one of the crazy stats I've unearthed in my research this offseason is Sean Payton backfields have been top 2 in total team backfield points, number 2 or number 1 in 12 of his 17 seasons. I mean, that's a 67 or 70% hit rate as a not just top 12 offense, not top 10, not top 5, top 2 in terms of total backfield points. Multiple times has had 2 top 12 backs, certainly plenty of times with 2 top 24 backs, even had 3 top 24 backs in the year. So I love Harvey. I love Dobbins. Harvey, one of my favorite picks in all of best ball, but Dobbins, I had so much Dobbins early best ball where he's going 170, 180 and landing with the Broncos. I always thought the Bears was going to be the nuts run out, and it probably would have been, but Broncos were right up there. He should not be going 110, but if he finishes there, or even better, would not shock me at all. I was hoping, honestly, where I took like Burden Mims, he might have made his way that far. He's like a perfect chaperone for like a Jadon Blue. But with the glue here at the end with like white and blue, I really think that helps this running back room that is still not by any means the best on paper. Judkins, Swift, white, blue. But it still has a mix of again, white's going to be fine for a few 12-point games. Swift has a ton of upside. Judkins has a ton of upside. Blue has a ton of upside. So if the upside plays out for all those guys, and now I have this absolutely stacked wide receiver room, elite quarterback in Jalen Hurts, elite, steady quarterback with multiple 30-point games as a rookie in Bo Nix. Tight end is the only one that I'm not like, wow, I love my team right now at this position. And it could get there. So we like Hunter Henry. I'm going to go. Braylon Allen has a week 9 bye, which 2 of my running backs already have. I'm going to go back to the well with Hunter Henry. I might go double tight end here and then be done with that because I do want 3 tight ends with Kelsey. I want Henry. Henry, Ertz, and Kelsey. Is that like the ugliest tight end room you've ever seen? Gesicki would kind of fit the team mold more, but nah, I'm just going to do it. Kelsey, Henry, Ertz. Like that tight end room, I'm going to have somebody giving me 12 points a week at tight end. And if we ever get a 2-touchdown day, then sweet. Yeah, we got a nice spike. So I'm good with my tight end room. Done with it. Couple guys at the top of my queue here were I like Braylon Allen a lot. A lot of rumblings that maybe he's playing the Montgomery touchdown style role in this offense. Love it. But I already have White with a week 9 bye, Judkins with a week 9 bye. And I don't overdo the bye week stuff, but 3 of my top 5 backs and a backfield that is a lot of late picks, not always the best. I don't want to punt a week like that. And so now the whole board has kind of opened up to whatever we want to do with these last 3. With a 2-4-6-3 as of right now, I'm leaning towards a 2-6-7-3 with this one. I certainly want 6 running backs on it. Like I said, I could be done at wide receiver and feel okay with Chase, Wilson, Hill, Devonta, Luther Burden, and Mims. There's a couple bye week overlaps between Smith and Wilson, Hill and Mims. So like I don't know if I can say I'm 100% done yet, but I might be. One of my higher drafted guys is Alec Pierce, so he could kind of complement this room pretty well too. So I don't hate this. You guys are more than welcome to let me know. Brashad Smith going 177 now. This guy I had queued up, was ready to go. Guess I will not be getting him. I've taken him pretty early, but I don't know if I've gone that early yet. Alec Pierce, another one I like. So just kind of highlighting some of my later round picks that I like. Those guys are all on that list. Feeling ugly veterans that are just running routes and getting me value. I'm into it. But I wasn't going to go Brashad Smith that early. There's plenty of other rookie running backs. They're going, though. I mean, Jarquez. I think rookie running backs are some of the best picks you can make in best ball that go this late, but they're flying right now. I do like Mason Taylor, who just went as well at tight end, playing like that Sam Laporta style role in a Lions-inspired offense. Laporta as a rookie was the number 1 tight end. So I'm not saying Mason Taylor will be, but I have a good amount of him as well. And so I'll kind of hit my queue here, and I'll share, like I said, I could end up going 2 running backs, 1 receiver. It's probably how I go. I like Giddens. I like Marshawn Lloyd. We have Judkins, so I'm not going to go Sampson, but I do like Sampson late on non-teams. I like Devin Neal. But it is starting. I like Keaton Mitchell. Starting to get ugly at running back with a lot of my favorite rookie targets going. I like Diami Brown at receiver. I like Dante Thornton. Diami goes, unsurprisingly, to the Lawrence team. I considered doing a Lawrence like Hurts, Bo Nix, like just too good of value on him. Can't let him fall that far. I am going to go Giddens. And I like Keaton. I like Lloyd. I'm going to go Marshawn Lloyd. I think he really ends up panning out big this year. And now I've got a 2-6-6-3, most likely adding a wide receiver to wrap things up here. I could have considered Slayton there. Atwell. But like I said, I'm not opposed to these receivers. I actually kind of like Roman. Roman Wilson might be the one because he correlates with Judkins. Oh, you know who I said I really wanted was Jordan James. I don't think I got to that point. I was talking about potentially fading McCaffrey, how much that terrifies me. All right, here we go. Can I get some advice? Asked Johnny Bennett. I've been offered Tua for Shador. Thanks, man. 2 QB. I have Caleb and Dak. I would take Tua. Very real chance that Shador never starts a day. Now maybe he does pan out. He's got the best arm there, whatever it might be. I don't know. It seems like he fell for a reason, and NFL teams don't love him. He brings the swagger, but unjustifiably so. Type of guy is what I am kind of seeing out of Shador. Whereas Tua, when he's healthy, he's top 12 in points per game nearly every season. He's also concussion away from not playing, so there is that risk too. But I think Shador is a 0, whereas Tua is a 0 if he gets hurt. So I'd rather have Tua myself. It's not like you need him when you have Caleb and Dak, Johnny. But what if Caleb doesn't pan out? Tua can be a nice fallback. Dak certainly has injury. I'd rather have Tua. Even with good quarterbacks, like just keep stacking on other quarterbacks. And if Tua has a huge bounce back year, maybe you move next offseason for an early second or something. I would definitely take the sure thing in Tua. That sure from the sense of what he is when he's healthy at least. And yeah, Johnny, like a lot of maybes for both of them, yes. But the Shador maybes, like even if he hits a ceiling, he's in Cleveland. And okay, they cut him and he gets picked up. I understand it's dynasty, right? Like I know it's your thing for the long term. I think what we saw in the NFL draft happened for a reason, and I don't know that Shador is making starts anywhere ever, whereas Tua's at least getting you games. That's kind of how I view him. All right, we are getting close to wrapping this up. Most of my targets have gone, but Thornton remains, Tutu Atwell remains, Roman Wilson remains at wide receiver, and I do think I'll tack on a 7th wide receiver. Jordan James, though, does intrigue me for some Week 17 correlation with DeAndre Swift. I think he would be the true handcuff. And that running back, it's not that I don't have a surefire room here. Whereas like Chase, Wilson, Hill, Smith, and then like also Burden and Mims are very solid. I don't know. It's a way to be different. 2-7-6-3. You're not going to see a lot of those. Maybe I get different with this one. Like Roman Wilson, is he guaranteed to be anything? There's the reports that he's like looking good with Rodgers. Rodgers likes his style. He does coordinate nicely. I'm going to go Jordan James. He's somebody I want more shares of. I don't really have him in many best ball manias. Let's go for it. All righty. So wrapping this one up, we got Chase, Wilson, Hill, starting 3 wide receivers. Ultimately, it was a 6 wide receiver build. Don't do that a ton, but 4 of my first 5 picks are receivers. I want to bank on the fact that I did well with them. and that they hit. And if they hit, I'm not going to need any other receivers. And I still have a couple big play guys and Burden and Mims to supplement whenever they blow up. Okay, sweet, come on down. Then I got Judkins, Swift at running back. I was hoping it would be Montgomery, but I don't mind it at all. Swift has the higher ceiling for sure. Bo Nix is the one, like, why did you really do that? You didn't really need Bo Nix there. You had Jalen Hurts, but I got boxed out of quarterback last time. Didn't want it to happen. Quarterback 2, rather. And I was hoping, I had seen Ingram kind of make his way to Bo Nix teams. I've seen a few teams pull it off where they take Nix at the top and then nobody takes Ingram because they want him stacked. Didn't happen here. Understandably, why it didn't. Probably should have gone Ingram over Travis Kelce. But now I got some week 17 correlation. And if Kelce, he was the tight end 6 last year in his worst year. He still got it in terms of fantasy usability. Got it, not what he used to. White, blue, got a chaperone for a bunch of exciting rookies in terms of blue. Giddens, the ultimate handcuff, right? Marshawn Lloyd and Jordan James. 7 running backs seems like overkill, but of the tail of the season, how many times is it like, all right, well, DJ Giddens is a top 7 running back in our rankings because Taylor's hurt and he's the featured back and he's got 4.3 speed. He's a good offense. He's facing the Jags in week 17. He's going to be in everybody's flexes. I'm taking as many stabs. Christian McCaffrey is not playing. Achilles tendonitis flared up and he's done by week 8. Jordan James is the new Jordan Mason and he's just carrying owners down the stretch. So, 6 is the more common running back build. And I know Hayden Winks, with all the analysis that he has, it's like you go over 6, it doesn't typically go well for you. But I don't know. I felt I wanted to bank on my 6 receivers being it. I love my crusty old tight end room between Henry, Ertz, and Kelce. I think I'm getting a usable week almost every week out of my tight ends. So this is just like, do my receivers hit their ceilings? Do they stay healthy? Does receiver health bounce back? Does Tyreek Hill in round 3? And now he's my receiver 3. My good Lord, that could be incredible. So that team excites me a lot more than the first one I drafted. But this was the first 2 best ball streams of the year. In terms of Best Ball Mania, don't know if these ones are with the $2 million winners, but 2 different ways to build around Chase. And I'm intrigued with how they come out. Not a ton of week 17 stuff going on either of these ones. But man, this is fun. The 20, you can see how much faster the 22nd ones go. I hope you enjoyed these drafts. Thank you, Johnny, of course, Thad, Giuseppe popping in, Live Like Larry or Live Like Larry, Frazier, some nice fatherly advice as well. Appreciate you guys all coming in and commenting. On your way out, if you enjoyed what you hear, please do hit that thumbs up or heart button to help us continue to get out to more people. The likes, the shares, the retweets, all that stuff is great. And all of this content, including my rankings for Best Ball specifically and my regular redraft rankings as well, are live and free at rotostreetjournal.com. The next for sure live draft will be on Thursday at 8 a.m. with my man Mo reuniting. He's going to try to guess who are my highest rostered players through the first 100 or so drafts that I have done. So come on in, check that out. And until then, guys, in a world full of fancy sheep, be the wolf later.